fundraising last year with us. So, like Mr. Lasky said, my name is Sarah Madden. I'm the district director for our Chicago MDA office, which basically encompasses all of Cook and Lake County. So, what I do is oversee the fundraising aspects of it as well as the healthcare aspects of it. And actually, uniquely, while I was listening to your first guest speaker, a lot of those things kind of correlate similarly to what we do at MDA, but just on a different scope of things. So, first and foremost, I do want to say congratulations to all of you guys. That's a huge, huge accomplishment that you guys were all in the top 10 for DECA fundraising chapters last year. That's a really, really amazing thing, so you guys should be really, really proud of that. DECA overall has raised more than $5 million for MDA since the inception of the partnership. Are you guys all familiar with the partnership between DECA and MDA nationally? Some years in there. DECA and MDA partnered up many years ago as recognizing DECA as a youth leadership organization and the need for funding for neuromuscular diseases. So when they partnered together, they came up with all these different ideas to do fundraising throughout the year, and that we would recognize local DECA chapters at your national conference each year in terms of fundraising dollars and things like that. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what MDA does and where that money goes, I wanted to kind of run through that today. How many of you are familiar with our summer camps? Couple hands here and there. Okay, so we're going to get to that today because that's a really big part of where that money goes to when you guys are raising funds. MDA locally, the way that we break down, so I oversee our Chicago chapter, which is like Cook and Lake County. We're actually based in Tucson, and so the way that MDA is structured is that we have 200 offices nationwide, district offices. So each district office is broken apart geographically, and then we have a certain number of families that fall into our categories. So for example, in the district that I oversee, we serve about 2,500 families. In your area alone, I kind of pulled a query today, we serve 126 families in this area. That can be with any one of the diseases that we cover. So muscular dystrophy is not one disease. We actually encompass 43 different diseases. Some of them are genetic, some of them are sporadic, meaning that there's no family history at all. An example of that would be Lou Gehrig's disease. Is anyone familiar with Lou Gehrig's disease? Okay. Lou Gehrig's disease is a disease that we cover. We have a whole separate division that covers it. The majority of cases of Lou Gehrig's disease are sporadic, which means that there is no family history. They don't know what causes it, where it comes from, and it's fatal 100% of the time. The other diseases that we cover, some of them are life-threatening. The majority of them are life-threatening. Some of them are treatable. So there are no cures for any of the 43 diseases yet. 2 years ago, they found the very first life-saving treatment. It's not deemed a cure yet because it is not 100% effective in everybody. It does mean that people with that disease will have to have blood infusions every 2 weeks for the rest of their life. But for those people that it's working for, it's a life-saving treatment. It's expanding their life, it's extending their quality of life. I actually met a woman who previously was on a trach. She couldn't breathe on her own, she couldn't eat on her own, she could no longer walk. And when I met her, she was walking with a walker because of this treatment that MDA found. And that's due to groups just like yours. MDA is made up of all sorts of partnerships. We do a lot of fundraising, but we get no government funding at all, no government grants, United Way funding. All of that does not apply to MDA. It's completely run by donors such as yourselves. So without you guys, that treatment would not be there. That $5 million that DECA has raised, that goes towards things like finding a cure for these diseases, providing hope to these families that are dealing with these neuromuscular diseases. Let's see. Does anyone have questions about diseases that we cover at all? Okay, so the next question is, where does the money go? We raise, in our office, our fundraising budget is $1.8 million. So that's how much we raise every year in our office. Of that funding, the neat thing about MDA is even though it is an international organization, the funds raised stay local. So when you guys do your fundraising, that $5,000 you raise stayed local to help families in the area. It didn't go into some big national fund where you don't really see where it goes. We do have local research grants at several hospitals in the area. We actually do also run clinics, so that kind of piqued my interest when he was talking about the clinic that you guys do here. We run a clinic at Northwestern University, one at Rush University, and one at UIC downtown. At those clinics, any family that is diagnosed with any of the diseases can be treated there. So, for example, if someone in your family, whether it was you or a younger brother or sister or a parent, is diagnosed with one of our diseases, you can automatically be seen in our clinic. The fees are paid for, the testing is paid for, genetic test can sometimes cost between $2,000 and $3,000 just to find out if you have this disease. A lot of our families cannot afford that. We do serve a lot of low-income families. We serve anybody that's diagnosed with the disease. So it doesn't matter, your race, your ethnicity, your family income, any of that does not matter. If you are diagnosed with the disease, you are covered by MDA. So the clinics that we run, what happens at clinic? It's kind of hard to picture what happens at clinic, but I like to think of it as one big team. So, if you had to go to, say you were having health issues and you needed to go to a cardiologist to get your heart checked, and you needed to go see a pulmonary specialist to check your lungs and see what your breathing capacities were. Maybe if you were at the point of needing a wheelchair, you would need to go to a specialist they have to fit the wheelchair to you so that you're comfortable in your wheelchair. Clinic is a spot where all those teams come together so that you don't have to leave school 4 or 5 different times. Or mom or dad doesn't have to take 5 days off work. For your little brother or sister, mom or dad doesn't have to take 5 days off work just to take them to the hospital. Clinic is a spot where you kind of have you're in the exam room for one period of time, and over time,